this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts with day 16 of my 28-day Christmas card challenge. Today I want to keep this video short and I will not assemble a card, but I want to show you what I have done. I had these sentiments in my stash. I cut them last year out of glitter cardstock. This is actually double-sided glitter cardstock, which is not really recommendable because it's difficult to glue it down on the back. You need the Collal glue or something like that. The water-based glues don't work that well. So I had loads of these, and as much as I like them as they are, I did not know what to do with them because they are really big. And I found whatever I did with them, if I put them on pattern cardstock or whatever, it was just too much and they would stand out too much and would not really harmonize. And again, I thought if I just put them on white, that is a bit too boring. So I figured out in the last few days what I could do with them, and I did 3 different cards just as some inspiration of what you can do if you have got big sentiments that are really bold. So one thing I did, I decided I want to keep it sparkly, so I knew I wanted to have some shimmer cardstock, the mirror cardstock. But again, I found if you have, especially if you've got a right, there we go, we've got a right sentiment here, that just doesn't work. That's just too much, and I didn't want to introduce really another color. The other option was to use some pearl cardstock, which I recently got, so I'm going to link to that below. So that is an option, but again, that looked a bit boring. So my idea was to put it on mirror cardstock, but to set it off a bit with any sort of shape. I just went for an oval, scalloped oval in the background, so it's not too much in the face, but it's enough set off to stand out on its own. And at first my idea was to use some pattern cardstock, and I tried this, but although it is red, I found it didn't work that well. So if I show you what I did there, so I didn't really like this. And then I came across this bit. This is cut from Kemet cardstock, and I cut this out when I did my white on white Christmas cards. I think it was 2 days ago. So I thought I'd just use that, and that goes really nicely with the background, so I keep it in the red and white colour scheme. And all I did, which I actually did when I chose this pattern cardstock because it has got these berries on it, I just cut some foliage to go with that, and then I decided I'd put it on this one anyway. So this is cut from the shimmer cardstock. Just any foliage will do. If you've got something that resembles a bit more like Christmas trees, like fir trees, whatever, or even just berries, or you could have some little birds on the side. Something that just rounds it off a bit, frames it a bit, and sort of takes the focus off a little bit of the sentiment. And you can also do, if you would like to do that, sorry, what you can also do is to put it on foam tape to raise it a bit, but because my sentiment is bigger than the oval, I decided to keep it all flat, and it can go nicely in the post. So that's the first idea I had. Then the second idea, I had one of these, it's like a rose gold coloured ones, so I thought I'm going to match that with some rose gold mirror card, and because I had the foliage dies out, I thought again I'm going to cut something out, and then I thought, no, to keep it different, I'm going to cut the foliage out of this cardstock and back it with something else. And I found in my stash again, which is very good for stash busting, is I found this shimmer cardstock. I don't know how well you can see this. It shimmers in different colours. It's a bit holographic, and I just backed that on the back, just little pieces behind these, and then the ones I cut out I can use again for another project. When you cut mirror cardstock, be aware that you need to have either very clean cutting plates, or you need to put a shim on this as in a piece of paper, because otherwise whatever you've got cut into your cutting plates will show off, as it did with mine. I actually got some indentations there, and I had various little cuts on the top, and this is how you can cheat with this. This is why I put this through an embossing folder afterwards, which basically gives it a different imprint and takes away the focus from the little places where it's actually got indentations from your cutting plates. I should have known better. I thought about putting paper in. I thought I'd get away with it, but I didn't. So all I did was I used a small embossing folder, and I did the first half, and then I put it in again with the second half. It's a bit more embossed on this side than it is on this one, so I can't remember whether the shim wasn't quite right, but it doesn't matter. It again gives a nice focus, and I went for this whirly pattern because it goes with the foliage. And then I had in my stash, I didn't even know I had these. I've got some flat white beads, but in my selection of flat white beads I actually had these little pearly stars. So I wanted a bit to balance this out because I've got the focus here and there, so I needed a little bit to go on either side here. So I just went for these little star beads, and I think these turn out really nice. And it's not too much in the face, it's not too glittery. So yeah, that's another solution I came up with that I really like. And then for this one's rather simple. I bought these, well, they're really stickers with rhinestones on top. I bought these in Germany last year, I think, and I think they were only €1 for the pack like this. And I hadn't used them since, so I thought it would be actually quite a nice idea to use the green and red bunting, sorry, the fairy lights, with my sentiment. So all I did was I stacked one of the green sentiments with a red one, offset it a bit so you can see both colours, and I just stuck this down on the shimmer cardstock and then just stuck these down. They have got a few little wobbly bits. They were actually quite tricky to stick down evenly once you took them off, but again I think this turned out really nice. And again, it's not too much in the face, it's not too subtle. I think it's quite nice mixture of the two. And just one more thing I want to show you, another thing you can do if you've got glittery sentiments. I took one of my failed felt poinsettias that I cut last year, and I just applied some glue and some red glitter to it, and I thought that would be nice as an embellishment. So you can basically glitterify any embellishment that you have to go with your glitter cardstock, and that would sort of balance the whole thing out. So if you imagine this being without the fairy lights here, you could have just like an embellishment like here, and maybe something to counterbalance it on the other side. So I hope this gave you a few ideas what you can do with large glittery sentiments. In my stash, by the way, I'm keeping my supplies in these small pouches all together. So these are all still bits that I want to use up, and I've got another folder with sentiments. And in one of my future videos, I will show you how I use my smaller sentiments, Christmas sentiments that I cut from mirror cardstock, because I'm still figuring out at the moment what to do with them, but I would like to use them all up this year. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.